this right here is not your average Jordan 1 low, and the Voodoo alternate takes things way further than anyone expected. So we're gonna figure out if it is really fire or if it's just flat out weird. Let us go ahead and talk about this sneaker. I did pick this sneaker up. I had seen it previously at another chic at another time, but I didn't go ahead and pull the trigger and bring it on the channel for you guys. But I decided why not to go ahead and bring it today. So as usual, I did my little you know, my daily sneaker release checkups and making sure I'm up to date. And you know, remember this sneaker had came out, so this sneaker is recently released. I'll put the release date on the screen right now. I'm not sure what the exact date off the top of my head, but I gotta say, I heard a lot of people were disappointed with this Voodoo alternate. Now, to my knowledge, I didn't know that there was actually a previous version of this, and I'm sure I'm not the only person in this belt, so I will show you guys a picture of how the other one looked, and they're honestly pretty identical. They're obviously not all the way identical, but the colors are a little different, but I feel like the design is kind of the same. But I gotta say, I like this vibe. I rock with a different type of materials. I rock with the just, you know, the absurdness. I feel like it's very random. I mean, I feel like that was kind of the vibe of the sneaker. I do like this upside down Air Jordan logo in the back, which I heard people thought that this shoe was supposed to be glow in the dark because, you know, like I've even had a Kobe 2 where it was like this kind of green tint, but it turns out even in the dark, it don't really glow. I feel like I like this overall shoe. It does come with these little laces too. This is like a gray, you guys can see it briefly, and then you also do have like a greenish, like a minty green type of green, like the green that's on the box right here. And then the last one is a black. Now, my personal opinion, I don't even think I would switch it up. I think I would keep the laces that it has on now, or it gives me like, it's like a rope, and I feel like these laces are kind of normal laces. And I guess the only way I would want to switch if it's I was to maybe go like a gray and green, like, you know, like kind of like a flip-flop in colors. But yeah, very dope. These are a little bit extras that come in the box, but besides that, that is pretty much it to my knowledge, unless somebody took something out my box. But yeah, this shoe right here is very, very great. Let's go ahead and talk about the overall story and concept of this shoe right here. So the whole Voodoo theme comes straight from Zion's connection to New Orleans. Now, this is a city that is rich in culture, mystery, and spirit. Now, the first Voodoo Jordan 1 low dropped in 2022, you guys, and it immediately stood out for its wild patchwork design and earthy tones. But in 2025, Jordan Brand decided to flip that formula literally, and the alternate Voodoo reverses the original color blocking, where the first pair leaned on olive greens and browns, and this one kind of pulls lighter tans, faded blues, and distressed beige, giving it sun-washed and almost that artificial look. Now, it feels like something you find out of a hidden trunk, and that's exactly what makes it so unique. I feel like it's just a very, very random sneaker that I feel like you wouldn't really expect, especially me too. Like even this design right here, I wonder why, like where the inspiration came with, but you know, it just makes it very unique, very dope. But there are other things about this Jordan 1 that really don't make it unique, so we're kind of talking about that later in the video, so stay tuned for that, because I do have quite a bit to talk about when it comes to the overall like feeling and the insides of this shoe. But what really blew me away with this shoe was the craftsmanship and one small design detail that didn't even catch until my second time wearing them. I bought these sneakers a couple days ago. I have wore them inside the house, but as you guys can see, there is no wear on the bottom, and that is because I am planning to return these sneakers, but not because they're a bad sneaker, just because I can't really afford to be buying all these sneakers, and I just want to, you know, be able to review the sneakers in a way where I can just talk about them, because I do at the end of the day like sneakers, but I just don't have, you know, the capital to go ahead and, you know, just continue to keep them. So with that being said, let's go on and talk about the overall materials and build quality in these shoes right here. Now, this shoe is a material showcase. You've got rough cut suede overlays, you've got that canvas underlays, visible stitching, and even reverse swoosh details that give the shoe a raw, deconstructed vibe. Now, the suede here isn't your regular smooth finish either. It's got that premium nappy texture that changes color with every touch. The heel tab features the stitched up Voodoo skull graphic again, and then it also has that flipped Nike Air logo on the tongue is back. So with that being said, you guys, it's one of the weirdest but coolest parts of the shoe, and here's something subtle. Each shoe looks slightly different, but the stitching patterns aren't perfectly aligned on purpose, and it's meant to feel, you know, like more authentic, handmade, imperfect, and almost kind of purse, which is kind of the vibe I'm getting with this shoe right here. But the big question is, does all that style hold up once you've already actually worn them? Because for about $160 for a Jordan 1, that is a little bit much. On to the comfort and wearability of this sneaker right here. Now, you know, on my channel, I kind of like to have like my niche kind of be the comfort in terms of sneakers. So I really like this topic. Now, I did just do a review on the Air Jordan 1 Low SE in that medium olive colorway. And these shoes are very similar and they are both an Air Jordan 1 Low, but the SE version does have a little bit of differences to it. So I just had that sneaker about a week ago, and that sneaker right there, the comfort was pretty good. And I'm not gonna lie, with this sneaker, this is definitely your regular Jordan 1 Low. Like I wouldn't go ahead and expect there to be like any sort of extra comfort. I feel like, you know, it's very light, it's not heavy. The padding is very minimal, if I was to say so myself, especially on that tongue. There is like little to no padding. There's padding around the heel that they do a very good job at, but when it kind of goes to the forefoot and on, I kind of feel like it's not as comfortable. The underfoot feel isn't the most comfortable. Like in terms of like amusement park and like things like that, I wouldn't wear this sneaker in that environment. I feel like that is way too much walking. But I definitely can see myself wearing this to a dinner, or you know, those chill events where I'm not going to be on my feet for too long. So that is my personal spill. But let's go ahead and talk about the little like nitpicking things. So on foot, the Voodoo alternate actually feels better than most Jordan 1s. The insole has slightly upgraded cushioning, and take that with a grain of salt. It is slightly. It's not crazy soft, but it takes that edge off that typical Jordan 1 stiffness. The ankle area is nicely padded. Even though the materials look rough, they're surprisingly flexible. And the shoe basically feels pretty broken in right out the box, if I do say so myself. And honestly, I expected these to be more for display than everyday wear. But I gotta say, after wearing them in person, seeing them in person, I feel like they look too good and they feel pretty optimal to not be wearing them in an everyday scenario. When I kind of talk about if they're true to size, I unfortunately cannot tell you guys that information because I did have to get the shoe at a lower size than I am. And it's kind of crazy. I got a size 9.5, but it does fit me and I'm usually a size 11. So if I had to estimate, my true size would be maybe a 10.5 in these, because I like these to fit a little snug. But that's just my personal opinion. I would say they are true to size. And then I would say if you are wide-footed, maybe consider going up half a size or even a full size. But as always, I recommend going ahead and going in person to go ahead and try the sneakers on. But also, I will say the links for these sneakers, if you do know your regular Air Jordan 1 size, the links for these sneakers will be down below in the description if you do want to go ahead and purchase, and that does go ahead and support the channel, so I greatly appreciate it if you do so. But anyway, I do want to say these are definitely not going to be for everyone, because when it comes to styling them, that is going to be a whole different ball game. You got a bunch of different colors, a bunch of different things going on. And I gotta say, you probably gotta be bold to be wearing these shoes right here. But let's go ahead and get onto that style and fit of the Air Jordan 1 Low Voodoo alternate. Now, the colorway is wild. As you guys can see, you got a bunch of different purples, a bunch of different like materials, and that kind of means it steals attention no matter what you're gonna wear. So I feel like the focal point of your fit, no matter if you wear poppy colors on the top and bottom, I feel like this shoe really is gonna take over the fit. So with that being said, I found that they look best, and they probably will look best with neutral outfits. You know, beige cargos, stonewashed jeans, cream hoodies, and anything that lets the shoe kind of be like the centerpiece. And as for sizing, as I was kind of saying before, go true to size. The materials will stretch slightly, but they fit like a classic Jordan 1 Low. Snug, but not too tight. Now, if you got wide foot, I might consider going up half a size up just for your comfort, but overall the fit is on point. But we obviously got to talk about the performance in terms of that longevity with this shoe. You know, we don't want to spend $165 on a shoe and not have a shoe that's going to be able to last us with some time. So as good as these look, there's one concern I have with the build that could be a deal breaker for you when like being in the market for one of these shoes right here. So let us go ahead and talk about that. So the outsole right here is your standard Jordan 1 outsole, and it's got durable rubber with solid traction. But where I see potential issues is in the stitching and exposed panels. Since the materials are so raw, they can fray or fade faster if you wear them a little too often. The suede especially, it is gorgeous, but it will definitely pick up dirt pretty quickly, which is obviously kind of going to be on the more harder side when comparing to, like, you know, cleaning a leather sneaker. This is one of those pairs you want to treat with a protectant before wearing outside, and once you do, it's definitely gonna be built to last. I definitely wouldn't go too crazy on the sneaker, especially if you wanted to have like that clean look to it. But you know, sneakers at the end of the day, they're meant to be worn, so I definitely just recommend, you know, just proceed with caution. And when you see how good these look on feet and in motion, that's when they go from interesting to crazy good. So let's go ahead and get onto those on foot looks. And every angle of this shoe tells a different story. The contrast between the right and left shoe, the flip logos, and the distressed color blocking, it all kind of comes together beautifully on foot. These definitely will turn heads and you'll get some double takes every time, and it's just that kind of sneaker. Whether you're a collector or just love weird Jordans, this one delivers personality like nothing else. And you guys, when I say weird, weird is not bad. I feel like even me, I'm weird, but it's like, I say weird as in a unique way. I feel like anything that is kind of unique, out of the norm, is kind of, you know, I use the term weird. But yeah, this sneaker is definitely weird in a dope way. Very, very nice sneaker. And of course, we got to see, is this going to be worth that price? And I gotta say, when we're talking about price, I was able to find this sneaker off retail, so you shouldn't have to pay resale for this sneaker, and if you are, it should be lower than retail. Look for these shoes at your local retail stores. You shouldn't have to pay resale for these shoes right here, unless they just, you know, there's just a whole bunch of demand. But yeah, you guys, first things first, at retail, the Air Jordan 1 Low in this, you know, this Voodoo alternate colorway, it goes for about $165, and I did get it for that price at my local chic store. But because of how limited they are and the hype around Zion's line, prices I've heard are being pushed already at 300 plus on the net, which is kind of crazy. And keep in mind that is depending on size. So we know, like, the more demanding sizes are probably gonna be at, like, you know, like a more higher scale. But anyway, here is the thing. This isn't just about hype. You're getting a premium craftsmanship sneaker, which is a story-driven design and one of the most unique aesthetics Jordan brand has done in years. For me, is it worth it? I would say this shoe is worth it. I honestly like it. I don't like that Voodoo name and kind of like the energy behind the sneaker. But I try to, like, you know, remove energies, remove like certain things from like an object. Or even, for example, like if I like a certain artist and they maybe don't stand on the same morals that I am, I try to, you know, disassociate from whatever the energy that's come out of it, and I kind of, you know, just try to stay true to what I believe and stand on. But with that being said, I do like this sneaker. I don't like the energy behind it, so I'm kind of 50-50 with it, but I definitely would cop the sneaker. It's not a bad sneaker. It's a very good looking sneaker, especially if I was bought it, I would definitely wear this sneaker very, very often. It's definitely a piece of sneaker art, and it still holds its own as a wearable everyday pair if you style it right. And if you thought this was wild, wait until you see what Jordan is cooking up for the next Zion mainline shoe, and it's got some tech we have never seen on a Jordan. So if you want that update or review, make sure to comment that down below in the comment section. But with that being said, you guys, that is my full review on the Zion Williamson collab with the Air Jordan 1 Low Voodoo alternate colorway. Let me know how you feel about it. Do you like the overall color? Do you think you can style it? Let me know all those details in the comment section down below. Leave a like on the video if you found this video helpful, and it also is kind of like a win-win situation because it allows me to know not only what you like, but allows me to reach more people just like you. So that being said, even if you watched the video this far through, I appreciate you for sticking through. And I recommend, click right here, check out that Air Jordan 1 Low SE to see what that SE is really talking about. I gotta say, there is key differences between the two, and they both have good things to offer. So with that being said, I'll see you there. Check it out.